Well, we've did it. You either
We've done it.
You either journeyed with us through all of these standout categories, or you just skipped right to this one. And in that case, head on back, watch them, check them out.
Please.
It's never too late. It's the internet. The stuff is there forever. We can't get rid of it. Thank you very much, guys. We hope you really have enjoyed this kind of walkthrough as we talk about kind of our standout cards from our play experience over the core set cycle 1. This is the grand finale. This is the ultimate villain card that we for one reason or another may or may not surprise you, because
it really shouldn't.
There's just not that much to pick from, from cycle 1. There's a couple, but there's one in particular that you should grab if you haven't. And Corey, why don't you say a little more before we do the unveiling of this?
Yeah, so just to kind of go over, so our standout villain, and we analyzed all the villains from core set and then the add-on packs that they released through cycle 1. And we went in and picked, we didn't just go through the pack where we did the specific villain and kind of their whole base package and stuff that comes through that really stood out as a really fun play experience, was really cool, that also provided some really neat challenges, and just something that we just really enjoyed digging into, and just playing around with a bunch. It was just a cool villain to break out. And that's kind of what we went. It didn't really take us a lot of discussion. We were honestly pretty unanimous. And to be honest, you should have a really good idea of what we're going to say if you've been watching us since this villain was released, because we sing its praises all the time on this show. So I guess I'm going to go right into it, because for a lot of you longtime viewers, you probably know what this is. So this isn't really much of a reveal, other than us just doubling down on what we say. But our standout villain for cycle 1 goes to Green Goblin, the mutagen formula version of Green Goblin. So we do know that there is 3 versions of this. You see 2 of them on screen right now. Yeah.
I wanted to make them nice and big, nice and chunky, so you can see the points that we're talking about. Just know that there's a 3rd.
Yeah. I think they know that.
We know that.
Yeah. So again, we talk a ton about if you're getting into the game, what's your very first purchase you should be after I get my hero I like, or I get my core set. And we say all the time, buy the Green Goblin pack. The Green Goblin pack gives you solid, excellent content, gives you 2 really cool villains and lots of really cool modules, add a lot of variety to your games. It's just a fantastic buy. And specifically in that pack, you get the mutagen Green Goblin, which I love playing against. I think it's a really cool scenario in the fact that I like it a lot because it kind of lets almost all the heroes play in it. Some scenarios, there are some heroes that are just terrible, or they're just at a disadvantage in this scenario. I feel like the Green Goblin does a lot of really cool things and adds some really cool challenges to the scenario. It's just fun, and it lets almost all the heroes play in it. So just kind of recap. His big thing is, his thing is, of course, whenever he attacks you, he's also placing threat on the main scheme. So his schemes are always advancing as he goes through. So there's always that clock of you have to react. Oh, but wait. But Green Goblin also, with his mutagen gas and this formula he's spreading across the city, has created all these goblin minions that are also popping up out of nowhere and getting in your way and engaging you, dealing you pinprick amounts of damage. And so you also have to deal with these things as you're playing around with the Green Goblin and trying to stop him from, continuing his gas bomb. Oh, but wait. But then when you beat a level of him, he gets to reward you by going to stage 2 and then flooding everyone at the table with encounter cards. So then it like wildly escalates to the next level, which adds like a lot of that tension and also makes timing of when you take them from stage 1 to stage 2 or even stage 2 to stage 3 very important, because you need to like knock them down that peg to advance the scenario. But then you also need to make sure that you do it at a time that you're not just going to tilt everything out off the edge because you flood everyone with treachery, with encounter cards. And another thing that I really love about the pack is in this whole scenario, you also get the card I See You, which I love villain interaction that can play with you on both sides of the hero card. And the fact that you get things that he can still attack you, even if you're an alter ego, I just think is cool. And me personally, and I think having like that little bit of, when you first got the game, that area kind of felt like your safe space. You're like, I could go to alter ego, I can heal, I'm good. But then when you get a villain that's like, hey, I know that guy. and then he still comes and like punches you in the face. And you're like, wait, you're not supposed to touch me here. I'm supposed to be safe and free from you. You don't know. I just think it's cool. It's something you have to think about and know. And it is all these really cool interactions on the pack. It's just a super fun pack to play. Just a really cool villain. Sorry, Jameson, I rambled on forever, but
no, that's good. But so everything you said is 100% accurate. Those are the discussions that we talked about. But what I would like to add to this conversation is I want you guys to understand that the selection of picking villains from cycle 1, which is the core and the first set of expansions, it's not like we had a zillion heroes to pick from, but we want you to know still how cool Green Goblin Mutagen is. Well, I'll say that it's still almost that go back replayable villain that you want to fight against, that you want to play over and over and over, because it's really that good. The core set, those villains and those scenarios are there for a reason, to kind of move you up inside of the levels of difficulty, and also show you what this game can be. Show you the different mechanics from Rhino to Claw, and then you get into Ultron. And I know that, again, it's certain play experiences and other people may have trouble and they may get stuck on some of those heroes and those scenarios, but we're kind of, again, not looking at it as in like who is the hardest, craziest hero. And we're not saying like, well, this guy, if you play him on level 3, is way better and harder. And, he gives me so much, the hard time. And if you ramp up the difficulty level and scale it up. No, we're just saying like, just on regular, let's set the game difficulty on, that normal pick. Who is the standout villain for us? And it was unanimously Green Goblin Mutagen, right? So like I said, we can pick this series that we have here, or the other ones, the Green Goblins. We had the core set ones, and then we had obviously the villains that made up the Wrecking Crew. And it was really kind of hard to, it's always hard to look at something inside of a vacuum, because, again, so much table presence makes a difference. But we really, really felt that the way that the Wrecking Crew scenario was, is presented to you, that, just looking at those villains, that if you had to fight one of those villains by themselves and it wasn't like a group, or they weren't combined or things. So it's not the mechanic of the scenario where it's like one versus many, but we did look at each individual villain itself and say, weigh it across to the other ones. So just like the core set, right? Like, hey, if right out the bat, and it wouldn't have been this way from a design perspective, but if Rhino had been that card that was just amazing and it was just so thematic and you always went back to it and it was just so fun, and it was an introductory scenario, but you just you wanted to play it, then we would have picked Rhino as that hero. Right, because he would have been that standout.
I'm gonna chime in real quick. Sorry, you can tell the guy who's like can't wait for like a villain pack or Venom pack to come out because he keeps referring to all the villains as heroes, and so he just doesn't understand the difference between good and evil.
Sorry. Yes, I understand. I'm very ambiguous across that because I do love to play.
Your anti-heroes.
Yeah, I do love anti-heroes, and I do love the comics. To me, a hero's only as good as the villains he faces, right? That's what really brings him out, and again, because it forces him to make decisions. But yeah, so the Wrecking Crew, looking at them individually, we just feel that nobody really stood head and shoulders above any of those other players because they were all had their own mechanics. They were all perfectly done. They all went across and did something different. And when you break them out like that, they weren't, they weren't as special inside of that vacuum because, one guy's a boost on attack. The other guy's doing stuff with scheme. The other guy's that physical tank. So combined, they do come together and form that team of villains, but when we couldn't just give it to a team. So it's a long-winded way of saying.
Even as a team, I don't think they get it.
No.
I always have, like, me personally, I have a knock on the Wrecking Crew and the fact that it doesn't allow modules to play into their decks, and I think that's a huge knock on the scenario itself. And so I always rate that pack really low personally. So.
Yeah, it's very cool from an experience perspective, but I feel like Mutagen Green Goblin is just that villain that that does so much more for you, for the game, for the experience. It's just, not only is it that iconic villain as Green Goblin, so you're getting that, if you're looking for that theme, it's there. It's that comic tie-in, especially if you want to play that whole solo match where you have Peter slash Spider-Man and you're going against the Green Goblin in this form. Like it's just really cool to set that up. But just from a villain perspective, like I said, it's not like we had a huge selection to pick from, but I think even if there was some more stuff there, this is still a very standout one. So if you have, if you've just picked up this game for Christmas and you're discovering us, welcome. You've got your core set. Peel a little bit of that Christmas cash off and go pick yourself up this Green Goblin pack, because it is a very excellent experience, and this is a very standout villain to play against.
Wow, look at that. Look how you brought it all. You brought it all back together to close out. The years
of experience behind this mic here.
Oh yeah, there you go. But yeah, excellent. So that's it. We've concluded our Cycle 1 Standout Card series. We've done it. We made it to the end.
Thank you guys.
Cool.
Very much appreciate you again coming along for the ride. We hope that you're going to have a good 2021, and we believe there's going to be a lot of good things in store for this game. So whether you're new, whether you're a veteran, go back, watch some of this stuff. Watch the hero, watch the nemesis. You'll know kind of what packs we feel like you should pick up. I don't want to say it here because I want you to go back and watch those videos. But enjoy this game. There should be a boatload more material coming, and we'll catch you in the next one.
That's right. FFG. Give us more Spider-Man villains. All right, cool. They're just so fun. All right, sweet. That's it. Thank you, guys. Thank you for checking out the series and the videos. Comment. Let us know which villains like really did it for you, and have a great 2021.
See you in the next one.